Well, what you're seeing here today are teams, and it is an international event. We've got teams from 2 or 3 different countries on the continent. But our national competitions consist of a lot of pairs and singles. Single ponies, single horses, and so forth. And we're getting, it's a sport that has grown this last 2 years rapidly.
I think the great advantage is that it can bring in a whole family. Husbands, wives, children can all become involved in it. So they all have some part. And it also brings in people who are not just simply content to drive about. They want to drive about with a purpose. And this gives you a tremendous purpose, because every time you go out, you're practicing for some phase of this competition.
Other than Mr. Buffman, who goes to Mr. Parker, please. Walk on.
A 3-day combined driving event consists of, usually on the first day we have presentation and dressage. Now presentation, we're judged for smartness, of turnout, cleanliness, matching of horses, soundness of harness. The spares you've got to carry certain spares, and these are also judged. The perfect team would be a matching team. I myself at the moment I'm driving, I think, a team of horses where I've got 4 different colours there. And it doesn't look quite as good, and I wouldn't get as many marks on the presentation, but they do match for stride and temperament, and I think this is more important than matching for colour. Last year we had the World Championships that were won, a Boni of Hungary won by 1 point from Mr. Young of Germany. That 1 point was gained in the presentation, so that every point is vital.
Well, the first competition is the so-called dressage, which is sort of accurate driving and control and manageability and driving style and horse style generally. And it's quite a good way. It looks very simple, and in a strange way, to be accurate, to do your figures exactly accurately and at the right paces, and for the horses to show themselves off well, and to stop when they're required to stop, and to stand still. It takes a lot of practice, and you have a lot of concentration, but you get one picture of the whole team.
The most important thing, especially with driving horses, is getting them used to your voice. Now, a horse doesn't understand English at all, and yet it's the tones in the voice that the horse obeys.
Steady, boys. Steady, boys. Steady, boys. Come on, have it to the board. Good luck. Come on, good luck. Steady, boys. Steady, boys. 3, up, 2, stand.
So that completes Mr. Bowman's test.
4, 3, 2, 1, away! Come, come.
So we'll come to start then. Driving from Denmark.
The marathon phase, the cross country, is really a test of speed and endurance. It's divided into 5 sections. The first is a sort of general cross-country trot without a lot of obstacles, not very fast, but it's a time trial. And then the final section, which is 8 kilometres long and can have up to 8 obstacles or hazards. And it's a combination of knowing the horses, knowing what they can do, what your whole vehicle can do, because what you're doing in effect is driving a double articulated vehicle from the rear.
Well, what you're seeing here today are teams, and it is an international event. We've got teams from 2 or 3 different countries on the continent. But our national competitions consist of a lot of pairs and singles. Single ponies, single horses, and so forth. And we're getting, it's a sport that has grown this last 2 years rapidly.
I think the great advantage is that it can bring in a whole family. Husbands, wives, children can all become involved in it. They all have some part. And it also brings in people who are not just simply content to drive about. They want to drive about with a purpose. And this gives you a tremendous purpose, because every time you go out, you're practicing for some phase of this competition.
Other than Mr. Muffler, who goes to Mr. Parker, please. Walk on. Ready? Ready? Onward! 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 Let's go! Come on! Let's go! Walk on! No, walk on! Walk on! Walk on! Ready? Walk on! Walk on! I'm good! Get up!
Oh, that particular one at number 2. I was maybe a little bit over time, but not much. You know, I told you had to warm that stump at the bottom? Well, I did. But the horses pulled away very well. And after that, no trouble at all. Water splashes, 4, 5, 6, no trouble.
Hey! Get up! Hey! Get up! Hey! Hey! Get up! Push! Come on! Hey! Come on! Hey!
It was good fun, though. Jolly good fun. I didn't go over anything.
Thank you very much.
Not a bit. Cheers.
Walk on. We rigged it up with a skid and we carried on for I think approximately 2 miles to number 2 acid, which was on a bank, round a tree on a bank, and we got into there, and then the front wheel collapsed with all the weight being on one side, and that was us finished. We were lying second at that particular time. We were having 1 point behind Young of Germany.
Get up! Oh! Get up! Come!
Hold on. There's good, boys. First bit over. Go on. Go on. Move. Go on. Go on, you God. Go on. Go on. Walk on. Walk on. Go on. Go on. Go on round. Go on. Right on. Go on. Go on. Come on. Round you come. In right. Go on. Right, one groove down. Go on. Good. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Yes. Go on. Come on. All right. Go on. Silver. Go on. Go on.
Good. Well, that's splendid. So he gets no referee's penalties.
Except for those 2 dead hawks. What's that?
Well, I don't really see that I can give him a penalty for a stop.
Well,
I mean, they shied away from the...
Well, they did it both pace, therefore it should really be a referee's penalty, isn't it?
For breaking pace into the water.
Yeah, I mean, they stopped there.
Yes, we'll give him one.
Go on, lay down! All right! No, don't hit him too much. They're so tired. Come on! Go on! Go on, hang on, stand back. Pull it back. Right, stand back.
Lift it over. Lift the back across this way. Right, on the leader's side. Put it on down the road if you would.
Right, go on.
Down the road.
The bridge is sort of back there.
Run on, Mr. Carriage. Go on.
Oh, I think most people have turned over sometime around. I've lost a wheel, not in a competition, but going over a stump. What happens is you bounce in the air and then come down on one side, and if you've got a wooden wheel, of course it collapses. Like happened to George Bowman. He went over one of those little markers on the corner, which he didn't see because it was in the grass. It was very bad luck, in fact. It comes from cutting corners.
Terrible. Terrible. I got down section A, went into a hole and broke 2 springs, tied them up with rope, got right through to section E, made up the time. In the first accident, the wheel was damaged and the wheel collapsed, so we stopped. But you can run it with the back wheel broken with a plank of wood. But when the front wheel's broken and you're turning the turntable, you just can't drive them.